Good evening. Welcome to the December 6th meeting of the Board of Education. Would we all please stand for the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. We're going to start with a roll call. Mr. McCormick.
Dr. Ning, Ms. Fearon, Mr. Rose,
Here.
Mr. McDowell, Ms. Miller,
Here.
Ms. White,
Present.
Mr. McOwen, Ms. Saunders, Mr. Zamore,
Present.
or Ms. President. Sir?
We have any minutes to accept?
Yes, November 1st, please.
Okay. I'll make a motion to accept the minutes of November 1st.
Second.
We have a second. Fantastic.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. Communications from the public. Good evening. There is no legal requirement to recognize public comment at meetings of the Board of Education. However, the Board recognizes the critical importance of community discourse and involvement in the education of Mount Vernon's children, and accordingly, members of the public are invited to speak at each regularly scheduled Board meeting, subject to the terms of Board policy. A speaker must register in advance by no later than 4 p.m. the day of the meeting by contacting the District Clerk in person at 165 North Columbus Avenue, Mount Vernon, New York, by phone at 914-665-5235, or via email at rmccormack@mtvernoncsd.org. The Board welcomes all respectful comment, whether praise or criticism. However, identifying and criticizing a specific student, parent, teacher, administrator, or other Mount Vernon education official or employee is strictly prohibited. Any such complaint must be presented and addressed through the proper administrative channels. Each speaker is allotted 3 minutes to speak, with up to 1 additional minute to be used for the speaker to summarize and conclude their remarks. If appropriate, the Board trustees and/or the superintendent or their designee may immediately respond to the speaker's remarks. Our first speaker this evening is Brenda L. Crump.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
First, I'd like to share concerns were shared with me that continuous hammering, knocking, drilling, etc., which causes the teachers to have to yell above the construction noise, is very disruptive to the educational learning at Thornton. And my question is, must this type of restructuring construction occur during the educational day of our students? Parents are taught by educators to provide children with an appropriate environment conducive to learning/homework. Our children/staff deserve an appropriate environment conducive to learning and teaching. Also, it has been shared that just in general with that, but then there was another incident where staff, I guess construction people, came into one of the AP classes during an instruction time and began some work. And this was actually while learning was going on. So I asked the question, you know, I know we want things done at the school and we want to make the changes, but can we work around the educational day as much as possible, because it is disruptive to the children and the staff. I'd also like to talk about the heating at Thornton. I know that the superintendent and Mr. Policio and maybe perhaps others were out there, but there are still some concerns with the heating. For example, like today, the children did not have gym because it's so cold in the class, and I'm aware that it's a new boiler AC system at Thornton in reference to their gymnasium, but I think a concern has been expressed about a window that's open in the gymnasium. And my understanding is that staff and children have voiced their concern about the open window, and they were told that they need the forklift-like type ladder to close it. So there is no gym today, and this is not the first day because it's so cold in there. Lastly, I'd like to talk about student detail reports. All of you board members and the superintendent, you received the emails from my children, as well as myself in regards to the student detail reports. I share with you that that email was sent out October 19th. It is now December 6th, and we still don't have all the student detail reports. So I don't know what was shared with you in regards to that challenge, but it is a challenge, and it should be, that students, when upon making a request to their teachers, not given the student detail reports. And for some of you who may not know what a student detail report is, it's a report that comes from eSchool, and it itemizes how a grade is arrived at. And children are entitled to that, and they should have it. And in between the interim marking period progress report, my children requested, because the progress report just says passing at this time, and then the District 65 is passing, which is just one step above failing. So we don't know what that means, and then it also gives the child time to make improvements between the marking period, progress report, and the report card. There's a lot of information that's on that student detail report, which itemized test, quiz, homework. It shows a level of integrity, accountability, and transparency for all those on the team. That's the teachers, the students, as well as the parents. So this way it holds the students accountable and the teachers for where they are and what's happening in the classroom, and no one can say, well, I did not know. And once again, it gives rooms for improvement. So I solicited your help, and we did follow the proper protocols. Everybody on the team is notified, and so we've reached all the way up to the board members. So I am soliciting your help on behalf of students in the district, and I as a parent, that we obtain copies of the children's student detail reports. In closing, we are now in the second marking period, and we don't have student detail reports from when we requested in October. That's unacceptable. So please advise, because we've done all that we know how to do, all that we should do, and we are at the school board trustee level. Please advise us on how to address and handle this issue. Thank you.
Thank you. To start?
Sure. Good evening. Hello, Mrs. Crump. Good to see you. Regarding the hammering and the noise that you report in the building, I've been in the building. I actually had a pretty lengthy meeting, 2 meetings, in fact, this week with the principal, and this concern has not been brought to my attention. We've also had conversations with union reps, not in reference to this item, but other items, and it did not come up in that session either. So if teachers are having concerns about that, they should really bring those concerns to their union rep and or the building principals as the opportunity presents itself. That is not to minimize it, but just to say that I had not heard that this was a distraction to the learning process until you just brought this up. To the extent that we can modify that if it is in fact impeding instruction, then we will certainly look into that. In terms of the heating, I'm going to ask Mr. Policio to address that. He is certainly more versed in that than I am. And regarding the student details reports, there is one report that I am aware of, one teacher's report I'm aware of that has not been appropriately submitted to the principal's satisfaction, and that is being addressed. As a matter of fact, that was a part of her update to me today as well. And because it's personnel related, I can't give you any more detail than that, but I can let you know that the principal, this is a high priority on her list to get those reports completed.
Okay, so if I may, the concerns of the disruptiveness, if that's a word, was shared by the students, but also staff. I don't know, I can't speak for why staff is or is not sharing. My concern is they are concerned about retaliation or fear, whatever their issues are, but I can assure you that people are not just going to say that, and the students are not going to just say that about the construction. And actually, when I said as one day, the people actually came into the classroom during an AP class, you know, and the incident happened. So I can only share on that.
I did meet with students last week as well. Representatives from Thornton were in that meeting, and the kids were not shy about other things that they wanted to bring to my attention, but they didn't mention that either. And again, that's not to minimize it.
Yeah, because maybe it wasn't their AP class.
That's possible.
I don't know.
That's
Yeah.
possible.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Policio?
Oh, and one more thing, the construction, you know, that issue has been raised. It wasn't just now. that the issue of the construction was raised. Just for the record.
Thank you.
Yes.
Good evening, everybody. Just briefly on the construction. Our construction, we make every attempt to do everything second shift, and that is after the students have left for the day. However, due to the enormity of the construction project, specifically the EPC, we do have to do some work first shift. We try our hardest to minimize any impact that it would have in the learning process, and I will reiterate that to the contractors first thing tomorrow. I'll actually have a meeting with them on site. Actually, on Thursday. I'm not in tomorrow. As far as the heating is concerned, we have identified, with the superintendent present on the 23rd of November, we did an extensive walk with the principal, the superintendent, the head custodian, Kevin Winstanley, and Sinead Gurin from Honeywell. We identified 6 classrooms that have gone above and beyond the scope of the EPC. So we are addressing those individually on a much larger scope. Some of them have some power issues, but we're addressing them one at a time. As far as the gym is concerned, tomorrow morning, the techs from Honeywell will be present in the gym. They're doing a transfer of thermostats from the old system to the new system, but they assure me by tomorrow, close of business, that the gym will have its heat source back on, and we will address the window situation as well. So that's where we are.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Mr. Jeff Monroe. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, just before, I just want to comment on the window. Did I miss that?
Yes, sir.
He commented on the window?
That's being addressed tomorrow morning.
Oh, it's being addressed tomorrow morning? Is that the same window we noticed, Michael, a couple months ago during our walkthrough there?
No, so the window situation, the windows in general need some repair at Thornton, so some of them are having some closing issues. And what we've done is we've gone to trying to insulate them in the condition that they are. We're hiring a place called Window Repair Systems. That's the next that's the new vendor that we're going to start to work with, and they will address each of the windows in all 16 buildings and try to get them as efficient and safe as possible.
Right, with some windows having priority, such as that gymnasium one at Thornton.
100%. We'll get that window closed, if not tomorrow, as soon as possible, starting tomorrow.
Right, all right, thank you.
You're welcome.
And Pennington's on that list as well?
Oh my God, yes.
Okay. All right, fantastic.
Mr. Monroe?
Good evening, community, honorable trustees, Dr. Hamilton, President Seymour. I want to thank you for making time to hear me out again today, but I come with really not a new but more urgent demand, as has been made in the past. But in the past, the specifics have been regarding the Afrocentric curricula, or more culture-centric, culture-relevant curricula for our students. Of course, we've had issues of this last 2 weeks, the stabbing and whatever other issues have come to light in the student population in terms of safety. But of course, we have larger political and social dynamics. I know in my errands around family and community, I see what can be characterized as a social trauma among most Black and Latin families, and it's making the news sometimes also in terms of traumatic reactions to the Trump election. This isn't to be taken lightly, and regardless of what the other corporate press might say, it's really not such an issue that we're only worried about what is going to happen politically. On the ground, in terms of our families, the greater concern is how our children are reacting and how our families are prepared to respond. Most of our parents likely are responding with the same kind of traumas. They're unaware or unprepared for how to deal with the situation socially because they see it as a political dynamic. Regardless of what happens on January 21st, or thereafter, most of our communities, especially Black and Latin communities, are unprepared to be self-reliant. Of course, political and corporate dynamics in formerly manufacturing communities in the so-called Rust Belt of the North and communities like Mount Vernon on the East Coast are suffering because we've been busy producing consumers. So I'd like to push for a better, a more proactive and long-term plan in our education curricula to deal with producing producers. We need to have more producers coming out of our communities and our classrooms. We need our children to be prepared to be self-reliant in our communities where whatever happens at the state or federal level, our communities can sustain themselves. This is the proper response, whether white supremacy elects a Trump or whatever else is coming down the pipe. We're not really I'm personally not worried, and most people who think like me are not worried about what white nationalists, white supremacy, and its political, economic, or academic rigors come in form of. We're more worried about what we can do with our systems to prepare and to respond. Personally, I'm not concerned that our community is under any immediate threat. I don't really believe that white supremacists, neo-Nazis, or the like are going to come marching down our streets. I know people like myself are prepared for that, and I know our community is fairly prepared for that in certain sectors. But the problem, really, the threat is not that. That's not the immediate threat. The threat is long-term social and cultural engagement with a population, regardless of what it is, on the macro and micro levels. The problem is, what are our students prepared to do with a changing world that really has been changing now for some time, a generation or so? So I'd like to prepare the community really for that question in terms of what are we going to do. Those are not necessarily parents in this room or educators, because those of you who are here are doing what you need to do. Prepare with our neighbors who are not here or never here, who never show up to PTA meetings or do what they're supposed to do, we know, academically or in parent-teacher nights. But in terms of our educators and managers of the education that our children receive, I'd like us to come to the community more often in terms of that context. Okay, we've done it, I've made the demand in the past. Now it's a more urgent demand, and it's really not so much that we're looking for the answers from you. We're looking for you to be more receptive to the answers we have for you. Okay, so thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for that. I didn't realize that cryogenics kept some people alive from the Black Power movement, but I see you're doing well. Just kidding. You know, I actually appreciate a lot of the things that you've just mentioned. And in that preparedness, I know that Sherry Ward has been working diligently at our high school to prepare a lot of our students there with coursework that involves a lot of trade work. We have the shop, we have the carpentry that actually we just visited a classroom to see how we can get our carpentry program started up again. And I know that we want to have a plumbing. I told her, please, we need plumbers. We need more plumbers. So a lot of trades, trade-oriented instruction that will help our kids who, you know, don't want to go on to pursue continuing education to get jobs right away. And so we're working actually very diligently towards that, and it's something that's very important to me. Careers in media, in technology, things that will get them ready for the 21st century, and you know, a lot of the trades that I don't care if it's 21st or 22nd century, quite frankly, we'll always have around, such as carpentry, electrical, you know, automotive, things like that. So I'm glad that you said that, because that's something that we're working very diligently right now to do. So we are not waiting. That's number one. The other thing I believe you mentioned is regarding the Afrocentric studies. I know that you've mentioned that before. You've come before us before, and while as far as I'm concerned, a lot of Afrocentricity in this district is not necessarily an inclusive policy. It seems to me particularly a little bit more exclusive, and I don't want what others have done to us in the past for now us to feel as if we're doing it to other populations here just because they're in the minority. So therefore, I want to be very careful of that. However, I did learn something from what you said last time, And then when I asked for some clarity, I remember we're at the Columbus School auditorium, or the homeschool auditorium, actually, when I mentioned for some clarity, asked for some clarity, and you said, well, particularly, it's making sure that we well represent the African-American history in our lessons and not so much just focus on teaching that. So that, I'm sure that Dr. Gorman and all of the other administrators involved in curriculum instruction are looking for ways to do that, to make sure that the African-American history is told and is told correctly. So thank you for that clarification back then. And
African global, not African American.
African Global, thank you, African Global, which, by the way, I'm from Haiti, so I'm glad you said that. Thank you very much, really appreciate that. And I always appreciate you coming out and making your statements, because it kind of keeps us also focused on those issues that you speak of. Thank you. All right. Anything?
Oh, that concludes speakers this evening.
That concludes speakers. Well, thank you very much for coming out. Charmaine, Trustee Fearon, welcome. All right, next we have Superintendent's report.
Okay, good evening all. I have a couple of items I'd like to share with you this evening. First, just for your information, this was not put in the my update to you last week, but we have solicited the support of security consultants whose primary responsibility is to assess our readiness to respond to emergency and crisis situations, including ongoing training for administration on staff lockdown, emergency procedures, lock-in, shelter-in-place, building evacuation, technology improvements that would also help us to secure our buildings, including intercom systems that will help us communicate more effectively. And in light of the incident that occurred last week, certainly timely. And I should say for the record, for those of you who may not know, that the metal detectors were in place on the day of the incident that occurred, and we're certainly looking to continue our partnership with the police and other first responders and the mayor's office, which was also very instrumental in helping us respond as rapidly as possible. And you also are aware on this coming Saturday will be our second annual community event, and while it is certainly festive and we want to celebrate the season, I don't want us to lose the purpose of that season, and that is this event is really designed to help us gather items for the 700+ homeless families we have in our community. So in lieu of an admission fee, we are asking people to bring items. Our goal is to be able to create 700 baskets for the various families in our community. So please help get the word out. Ask folks to come to the concert. It will be a fabulous concert, and our finale will include members of the cabinet joining us in a song as well. Under duress, but they'll be there.
That's worth coming for.
But we're looking forward to a great time. I'm also honored that I've been asked to serve as the moderator for the Westchester Residential Opportunity Symposium at the Pace School of Law this Friday. This issue is really looking at the pattern of segregation in America as it relates to public education and how it impacts Westchester in general. I was also honored last week by the Mount Vernon Chamber of Commerce with the Leadership Award. Mrs. Saunders was there. Thank you very much for representing the board at that meeting. In your place, I have also provided you with the status report on the superintendent's action plan related to our progress thus far on the board, which, as you know, were designed to be multi-year goals. And once you've had a chance to review it, we will post it on the website so that the public will have a chance to review it as well. I didn't want to put it out publicly until you've had a chance to review it. And lastly, we need to have a special meeting next week on the 13th to approve resolutions necessary so that we are on target for the special vote that we are asking you to proceed with in January, and therefore it would be my recommendation that we cancel the 12/20 meeting. And that would conclude my report at this time.
Thank you very much, Mr. Superintendent. My report. Well, it's more of a statement than the report. Very happy to see the state of the district, the improvements that we've been making, the level of enthusiasm amongst the administration, the faculty and the staff, and students and parents throughout the community and stakeholders as well. The spirit is very upbeat. I'm very happy with the direction that we're headed in, knowing that we still have lots of work to do. But I'm very confident, and I really appreciate all the hard work that the staff and the administration, along with faculty, the work that they're putting into the transformation and getting us to the next level. So I just want to reach out and say thank you again, and the best is yet to come in this district. It can't come soon enough as far as I'm concerned, but we're making some great progress. We have continued developments in the site work over at Graham, planned interior renovations for that school as well. And again, a lot of them can't come soon enough. Continued progress over at the high school and all throughout the district. So again, very happy with the way things are going, and can't wait till we reveal actually the full set of plans that we're going to be voting on. We have to make that public pretty soon,
Yes,
right?
next week.
Next week? Okay, fantastic. So stay tuned, and we'll come back to you on that next week. All right, committee reports. Trustee White, do you have anything from curriculum and instruction?
No, I don't, but I have to say that Dr. Gorman has been working very hard with the AVID program and getting our social studies program up to par, making sure all the teachers are on board with the new social studies program. But we haven't met yet, and when we do, we'll be meeting with Satish on about the STEM program.
Great.
Fantastic. Yes, Satish was saying that he's been meeting also with administrators from Bronx School of Science and other different STEM programs to really get our action plan together. That's fantastic. Have a great school. Thank you. And Trustee Fearon.
The audit committee met on Friday, December 2nd at 8 a.m. We had our internal auditors in. John Tobin came in to do an initial presentation on the intensive review the district has done, has asked our auditors to do on the teachers' retirement system. So after we finish going through that, we'll report that back and actually also update board docs with the written report.
Right. Thank you.
The next meeting was originally scheduled for this Friday, the 9th. We need to change that due to some scheduling conflicts, so it should either be next Monday, 8 a.m. at the 12th, or on the 16th as well at 8 a.m.
Fantastic. Thank you. Noted? Noted. All right. Awesome. Thank you. Trustee Jarosz?
Okay, we met this evening with Flory Page, our food consultant, and she had quite a few things that she's been doing. They replaced a freezer at Lincoln School, which they were waiting for a long time, and they have extra money from their lunch program, and with that they will be able to buy, we will be able to buy water fountains with bottle fillers for each of the cafeterias. She's been discussing the after-school snack program and trying to make it a little bit more healthy and everything. We're also trying to work on some education programs for both the children and the parents to move them toward healthier choices. And we're trying to figure out what will work and what won't work. We've gotten a check for about $1,500 for our portion of the vending machines, and that's about it.
And how is that money used? The $1,500 for the vending machines?
It goes back into the garbage cans and stuff, the upgraded equipment in the so that the district doesn't have to pay for these things.
Gotcha. Charmaine?
The water machine,
The water fillers.
is that the one with the bottle that goes on top and we have to have a water delivery?
No.
No.
You could
no.
take
You
your
put your
handheld
bottle-
and
Oh,
put it.
good.
Bottled water. No, not bottled water.
Okay.
No, it's cooled water also that you could put
Great.
your bottle under, and it,
So that way you won't have to keep it in a horizontal position on the small spout and it never fills up?
Yes,
Right, you
awesome.
can stand it up and put it in?
They also have counters
My-
that show how many bottles have been saved, which is a
That's
good
right.
teaching thing for the
Oh, that's
students.
fantastic.
My only thing
One
with
back
that
in
is
the
the,
back.
is the filtering on that, is making sure that those are changed,
yes.
like,
Oh, they turn red when they're not,
okay, good.
they turn red, so,
All right.
Right.
yeah.
I was actually looking at you more for the line item with the $1,500
$1,500.
in the audit.
You beat me to it, you beat me
All
to it.
right.
Yeah.
All right, fantastic. And so thank you for that. And also, I believe we have there's a what do you call it? A little excursion with Sodexo on the 21st.
The 21st, yes.
Okay, so
That's,
you could,
at 9 o'clock in the morning. We start at Davis? Was it? I forgot.
you could elaborate a little bit more since they don't know what's going on.
Okay,
Yes.
we're going to do a tour of 3 schools on the 21st, and, you know, it'll be from 9 o'clock until 12 o'clock, and we're going to look at the cafeterias and how food is prepared, and just do a basic walkthrough of the schools.
Yeah, looking for best practices to bring back to our district to make sure that the preparation and delivery of food and the type of food in this district is superior and not in the condition that it currently exists today, which I believe that we could do better. So it's hard to ask Sodexo to do better when quite frankly, a lot of our facilities are not up to par. So right now, we're going to be updating a lot of our kitchen facilities at the high school, cafeterias, so that they are up to par, and that now it would be up to them to make sure that the preparation, delivery, and the types of food is one that is representative of what we expect in this district, and also in terms of health and wellness to have some type of programs to teach the kids about health and wellness and parents as well. So that's what we expect of them, and so far they've been pretty accommodating. So we're going to take this tour on the 21st. We're going to be visiting a couple schools here and some other schools throughout the Westchester County to see what they're doing there as best practices.
Have you identified the schools yet?
I don't know. So far as the tour, did they identify the schools?
Yes, I
You can't remember? All right, no worries.
have it out in the car.
It's in the car. All right, no worries. We'll find out. All right, and
Website.
Trustee Saunders?
On the Special Education Committee, we kind of circled the wagon last Thursday to finalize our meeting that's going to be this Thursday, the 8th, at Rebecca Turner Elementary School from 6 to 8. The meeting's going to be about transitioning either from the CPSE to the CSE and from elementary school to middle school and the middle school to high school, also from preschool to elementary school. So we have some guest speakers, and also I just heard that we'll have someone that can do some Spanish translation in case some parents have any questions. So that's it. So yeah, my meeting's Thursday, December 8th at Rebecca Turner Elementary School.
Fantastic, thank you. And Trustee Miller?
All over on this side, all
Yes, all alone.
lonely over here. I had a great meeting with, I was asked by Dr. Gail White Wallace to help her with the Superintendent's Reading Challenge, so we had a great meeting last week with the Community and Business Engagement Coordinator for the new Barnes & Noble, which is up in Eastchester in the Lord and Taylor Mall, Neil Border space. It's phenomenal. It's open. We agreed that we are going to do, ask them if they would give us the space to do fundraisers for the Reading Challenge. So we have booked the dates of, and also Gail, Dr. White Wallace wanted to have a Parents' Day at Barnes & Noble. So we're, March 11th will be the Parents' Day, and it's being held in conjunction with the book signing and talk by Kwame Alexander, the author. And then, so that's March 11th on Saturday, and then March 13th, Monday night, is going to be the big fundraiser where we intend to raise all the money we need to buy 500 of the brand-new state-of-the-art Nooks, which they demoed for us at the store. They're fantastic. And then we're talking about how we can have them load books on there, so kids will actually get the Nooks with content on them as well. Yeah, so it's really exciting. So, and the store has, it has a wine and beer. It has serves food service 3 meals a day, so we're going to have it catered. All the shopping that happens on Parents' Day and all the shopping that happens on the 13th of the fundraiser, we get 20% of the proceeds. Also, I'd mentioned in an earlier meeting that they have us as one of the beneficiaries of their holiday book drive, and the manager told me on last week in our meeting, I think it was Thursday morning or Wednesday, that we should expect 2,500 books out of this drive that will be donated to the school. And Dr. White Wallace is working with the store to, I think we're looking at grades 2 to 5, but they have a nice display in the store that talks about benefiting the Mount Vernon City School District. So we got in there early, it's great, and I keep reinforcing to when they say, oh, it's so great, we have all these high schools like right down the street from us. I said, no school district is important as Mount Vernon. So I think we've gotten in early as partners, and they're game. They're also going to get involved with Mind, Body, and Soul next fall. So I think we've gotten off to a really great start. I encourage all of you to go check out the store. And then also, there are educator discounts there. So the manager is going to come. Dr. White Wallace is going to set it up so that teachers in the building understand that they can get this discount. I've got this great card. I got the educator's discount card. They offered it to me. I said, yeah, I'm going to go shopping. So we're going to be letting people in the district know about that, and we'll be doing book fairs there as well on a regular basis to raise funds for the district and reading materials. And I think we might be able to tie in an e-book fair going forward after we get the Nooks so that we can get electronic books delivered.
Awesome.
Yeah. And then the only other thing is that President Zamora asked me to think about a date when we could have the entire board and members of the public tour the schools, the progress in the schools. And we talked about the spring, and I really think it'd be really cool if we did it on Earth Day, which is Saturday, April 22nd, because all the daffodils are going to be pumping up at Traphagen, and I think that could be we could maybe turn it into a celebration, not Mind, Body, and Soul, not that big, but something that would celebrate the gardens and the beautification of our schools, and maybe the kids could do a little something or other. So that's, I'm hoping we can get that off the ground for April 22nd, and that's it. I don't know when we're meeting again, when I'm meeting with myself again, but it'll be, I'll let you know.
All right, thank you.
And I donated the book, but they told me it was for the Mount Vernon Library, not for the school.
No, they're not doing anything for the library.
Okay.
They're doing the pajama house or whatever, the place that provides pajamas, whatever, for students, for young people, and reading, and they're providing it for us.
I'm just letting you know that's what they told me it was for the.
At the register?
Yes.
Yeah.
She was uninformed.
If you look at the display that's there, it just says 2 names, and the library's not one of them, so.
Thank you.
President Seymour.
Yes.
I went out and I found out the information for the Wednesday tour on the 21st. 8 a.m. starting at Mount Vernon High School until 9 a.m. At 10:30, we will meet at Davis until, at 9:30, we will meet at Davis for an hour, and then we will go to Parker. So that's 3 schools within 3 hours.
So how about the other schools?
Other districts.
I thought the other districts.
No, we're just doing this tour. This was the information that I got.
All right, so why don't you do me a favor and follow up with them and find out when we get to tour the other districts, and which is very important.
That's-
We know what we
know what we do.
know what we got. We want to see what the others have,
Okay,
and if they can't come up with some suggestions, then we will.
okay.
Okay.
Also, I wanted to bring up something. I sometimes shop at DeChico's supermarket in Pelham, And they have boxes there that if you put your receipt in, they'll give the schools, whatever school you put your receipt in the box, they give a certain amount of money, you know, they tally it up and they give you a certain percentage of people's receipts. And our school system is in there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I mean, if anybody shops at DeChico's, look for that box with the Mount Vernon schools on it.
We'd love if they were shopping.
So they give us money,
Yeah, that's a great idea.
I don't know
Find out
where
where them
it is.
checks are.
Yeah.
give them the money.
Mr. Silver, have we seen any checks from the Chicos? No.
I will follow up on that one.
Yeah, that sounds great. That sounds really good. Thank you.
Excuse me, are we still working with Lincoln School on their greenhouse?
Yes, so Mr. Policio has left. Okay, so he was to follow up with that in terms of the items that they had asked for, soil, blah, 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 so other things. And also, I believe, Dr. Gorman, were you included in that email regarding trying to, because I know that you're working with Carl over at the high school and trying to put something district-wide in terms of farm to table, organic growing and gardening in the district, because I guess between Lincoln, Graham with their community gardens, and the high school, that we could get some type of relationship between the three there, so that, you know,
Outreach to the principals, and they are coming to me and doing the preliminary budget, so that's when the discussion will happen in the next 2 weeks. So I'll be able to give you a more clear vision of what it'll look like next year.
okay, fantastic. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I did have another thing I wanted to say, actually. We've actually been asked to present in Albany as part of best practices because there has been so much attention devoted to Mount Vernon and its work on improving and turning the district around. So we will be presenting in Albany to a group of educators from around the state on practices that we have employed here in Mount Vernon.
Wow. Look at that. Getting noticed. That's fantastic.
For the right reason.
And for the right reasons.
That's you well.
Yes, thank you for that footnote. That's fantastic. All right, and finally, with my report from the Buildings and Grounds facilities, we've been, of course, doing some amazing work, lots of things to be proud of. Lately, we just completed the courtyard right in front of the 3 high school, Mount Vernon High School pre-kindergarten classrooms, and it's called Little Hands, and we have a before and after picture. So, can you get it larger? Oh yeah, it's pretty large here. So this is the before picture of the existing courtyard with some cement walkways and retainer walls. Now over here is the door to the pre-K that comes out, but of course, you know, with all the trees and the roots, they couldn't really play out here. And actually, this is a good picture of the before. Of the before. But now the next picture is the after, and what it is now to create a little play area. So now this is the new play area for the children. And so they were out there today enjoying it, which is fantastic. So we will be looking at some recreational items for them to use in there to play with. But in the meantime, it's nice, it's clean, it's a nice lawn area, and I was so happy to see. Look at this little one over here lounging on the lawn, right? I really appreciated that. So so that's fantastic. And the work continues. And Mrs. Crump, I'm actually sorry to hear about the noise complaints over at Thornton, because we make it our business to not interrupt the classes and instruction. So, you know, human nature, some things slip by. So thank you for bringing it to our attention. We're going to look into that because we have a lot of crews working after hours. So we call it a second shift. And so if you go to some of the properties, including Thornton, the high school, there are crews there in the middle of the night working all the way through the night, replacing windows, doing certain things that we can't do during the day while class is in session. But just to know that we try not to do the things that you may have witnessed or may have heard has happened. Also, there are some things that I'm looking forward to presenting to the board that would bring more revenues into the district by the continuing use of our facilities. So we have, for example, over at Pennington School, there's a school next door called Montfort Academy that doesn't have any play fields. That's, what church is that part of again? St. Peter's and Paul, yes. So when we do our restoration of the Trapphagen fields, we'd like to, well, I'd like to make a presentation to the board that we could present to them to maybe perhaps use our fields when we're not using our fields, so they could co-use the fields for a fee. And that will help generate some income so that we can help maintain our fields and other things throughout the district, or particularly to that school even. And also the Trapphagen parking lot. Parking is a challenge over there by Oakland Avenue. So creating some type of system where they're permitted to use the parking lot, be out by 7:30 a.m. in the mornings, and they can stay there on the weekends. Maybe something somewhere in the line of $75 to $100 a month. Figure, keep the math easy, at $100 a month, there's at least 50 cars in there every night right now, since we removed the gates and the chain from the parking lot. The problem we have right now is in the morning when the teachers come, some of them are still there. So that's why we have to have it. If we're going to leave it open, we're going to have it permitted, and they're going to have to know the rules and so on and so forth. And so I think we can manage it then. But you figure we have the potential to earn anywhere around $5,000 a month just on parking space. That will again help that particular school, or put in the general funds and help us. So we have to run this district like it's a corporation to benefit the people and the students of the corporation. And so if there are ways that we could continue to make money that goes in to benefit all of us, then I feel that we should. And also it's at the same time helping the community out. I know there's a lot of sport teams, private sport teams, that want to use the soccer fields, so on and so forth. Some of them use it right now, they don't pay anything. But what happens is that there's wear and tear on the fields, and we have to spend the money to fix it. So you know what? They're going to have to share in some of that responsibility. They'll have to get permits and pay a fee so they could use the fields. Now, if it's just regular citizens going out with their, of course, children playing on the fields, that they're open to do. Sort of like organized teams and organizations. Yes.
Could you speak about the ribbon cutting at the gym?
Well, I was going to mention
you
that.
were?
Well,
Oh, okay.
I was just going to mention it because
Okay.
I had the opportunity Sunday to attend the brunch given by
Coach Semino.
Coach Semino and the basketball team and all the coaches, and they honored Dr. K, who is the orthopedic doctor who helps them. And he usually gives a dinner every year and gives all the children some type of computer. So it was felt like a family reunion because that group of kids are so close. So I just wanted to remind everybody to come to the ribbon cutting on Thursday at 4 o'clock or 4:30. And we're playing Fox Lane, which is the team that defeated us last year. So we need to be there strong, okay? So you guys come out. But yeah, I was going to mention that.
Okay,
Okay.
sorry.
No, I was just going to mention that the brunch was fantastic.
Yeah, that's fantastic. We continue to create first-rate facilities. Today I met with the swim coach over at the high school as we continue to develop the swimming pool that we're hoping to, Mr. Paliccio's not here again, but we were hoping to open this month. But I want to share with you, if I can in time, a picture of the swimming pool at Phase 2 with you. I'm going to send that to Mr. McCormick right now. We can probably see that in maybe the second half. But it's really fantastic, and it's worth seeing. Okay, I just sent that over to you. Anyway, he promises that within the next 2 or 3 years, we will have a winning swim team. So I'm going to hold him to that. I'd love to see that in this community. That would be fantastic. All right, that's all I have to report right now. And the next thing we're going to do is executive session, I believe it's time for.
Yep.
Yep. All right, so how long do we expect that we'll be gone for?
About an hour.
About an hour. All right, folks, about an hour. Sorry for that, but we shall return. Motion to go into executive session?
Motion.
For the purposes of discussing contractual negotiations with the collective bargaining unit, the employment history of a person or persons, and matters leading to the appointment of a person or persons.
I'd like to make that motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a second, trustee White. And all in favor? All right. We shall return in an hour. Thank you so much. All right. Good evening once more. I'd like to make a motion to return to this public meeting. Okay, that's trustee Jaros in a second.
Second.
Trustee Saunders. Welcome back, everyone.
Thank you.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. So we're going to move on to item number 6, the consent agenda. We'll give an opportunity for any of the board members to remove an item from the consent agenda.
I'd like to remove 10.9.
10.9.
The probationary teaching assistant appointment of E. Hassel.
Okay, fantastic. Anyone else? No? All right, so I would like to move to for a motion on approving the consent agenda. I will start that motion, and do I have a second? Second, trustee Miller, thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, so no abstentions, and number 6 passes. Should we go now to that item that was removed? Yes, 10.9, discussion, trustee Saunders?
No, no discussion.
No? Okay, so I'd like to take a vote. I'll start with a motion to approve 10.9. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, trustee White. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Abstentions? 1.
Ms. Saunders abstains.
All right. Motion carries. Very good. Now, next item,
Unfinished business.
number 16. Item number 16, unfinished business. No? Okay. Unfinished business, I'll mention briefly regarding the school district's intent to file litigation against the city of Mount Vernon. We are in the process of proceeding with that. We've been doing some data mining, collecting some more data to make our case, and we will let you know as soon as we are ready to present that, to file that with the courts. In general, just for the public, in public's knowledge, is that we intend to get the city of Mount Vernon, both the city council and the mayor's office, which he is basically the chair of the Industrial Development Agency, to sit down with the school district when they make these type of decisions, when they make pilot decisions, when they are making also decisions to increase the density, population density of the city, which affects schools as well. If you plan to increase the city's population by 24,000 new residents, which potentially could bring in a few thousand students, well, that would have to cause us to build, several new schools. And you don't just build several new schools at the drop of a dime. It takes a lot of money, roughly $75 million per school. If you need, 3,000 residents, 3,000 new school students would require, in terms of elementary schools at least, that's 6 new elementary schools at 75 million. You do the math. The capacity that we have right now is mostly at the high school level, right? When we create the STEAM high school, there'll be some capacity there. There'll be some additional capacity at Mount Vernon High School and at Thornton, but we certainly don't have the capacity as we're trying to move in 7th and 8th graders down to the elementary school level. So we're actually adding some capacities at Pennington, Grimes, Mandela, and also at Parker to mitigate, what we're trying to do in terms of the K through 8 and also the pre-K initiative to bring more pre-K into the district. So we don't have the room to bring in the type of numbers that they're looking for. And I know the city council keeps saying, well, they have the room, they have the room. They don't quite understand what we're doing. The other thing that they look at sometimes, they'll look at classrooms and say, well, at an average, you have, there's 15 classrooms in the building, and each classroom, say, has around roughly 25 students, then you could handle X amount for the capacity of the building. Well, the math is not done that way because some of the classes are special education classes, which are 8 to 1, 6 to 1, 15-1. So if a building has 4 to 6 special education classrooms, well, then your total capacity drops. So all those calculations they're not really thinking about because they refuse, still to this day, to sit down with us to have that conversation. We've reached out many times and they keep refusing to do that. So if anyone in the public can get them to sit down with us before we file, we would welcome it. So just to let them know. All right, that's unfinished business. Anything else, trustees, that we'd like to add? That's it?
Go to new business if you don't mind.
New business? Okay.
Just two items I want to share with you. One is I really want to take this opportunity. I've enjoyed some wonderful acknowledgments lately, and I think it is, there's a song out that there's a song out called "Wind Beneath My Wings," and I get to enjoy all of these accolades, but the truth of the matter is there are the people who work with me who don't get the recognition they deserve that help me to soar. So I just really want to acknowledge my team this evening. Always having my back. Weekends, we're texting, we're calling 7 days a week, talking about our work, talking about how we can do it better. And whatever I ask them to do, whenever I ask them to do it, they are there, and I am well represented. And I think this is the team that is really going to take Mount Vernon to the next level, for sure.
And I second that. I totally believe that.
too.
Thank you guys so much. Yeah, there we go. All in agreement. You can't beat that. Thank you.
And I will be joining, unfortunately, somebody's got to do it. But I will be joining the basketball team as one of their chaperones in Hawaii next week.
It's so bad for you.
And,
They're going to Hawaii.
Resident documentor will be there videotaping and documenting everything for our
You have to go. Huh?
archives. I have to.
I know.
You have no choice.
Well, let me tell you something. You know what? I'm very actually happy that you're going because to have our young athletes and students see you there with them, the leader of our district is a great thing. And it just shows how much you are in tune with them and how much you care to be there with them. So thank you for actually going. Thank you.
Ken, I think they'd be more impressed if you were a forward on the team.
All right, thank you. All right, well, that concludes our meeting for December 6th, 2016. I'd like to make a motion to conclude. Oh, did we show the pool? We didn't show the pool yet. I forgot.
You did.
No, we just
So the scaffolding.
right. But so we just a quick discussion on it. So basically, over here we had two, if you could say, a platform up here. And there's a little bit of it over here. Those used to be walkways on top of the pool to change old light bulbs. But now that we went to a LED system, we don't have to change light bulbs anymore. That what we call the catwalk up there didn't need to exist anymore, and also it was blocking all the lights from the skylight. So we took that down. We made some major improvements in terms of the filtration system around the pool, changed broken tiles all around, new ventilation systems. We have a new pool cover that will help save us a lot of energy in terms of the not letting heat and chemicals actually escape the pool, the water. So the cover rolls down on top of the pool, then it rolls and retracts up. You could go on to the next picture, please, which is our rendering of what after phase 2 will look like. So the pool in the phase 1, right now, the balcony railing is just a kind of little dangerous railing because it has very wide openings, right? It doesn't have the 4-inch openings. So if you're going to put 4-inch openings, it will look like a residential unit. So we're not going to do that. So instead, next summer, we're going to go into phase 2 and we'll do all glass around. And this glass also will have LED uplighting the glass on the bottom. It will be able to change colors and look really modern. Also, we'll have a big TV screen that could show recaps of the swimming lanes and, you know, the what do you call it when they finally do the, you know, where they touch the,
Like a relay?
yeah, the races and all that stuff, the you know, I guess the finales, whatever.
Snap.
And also we'll have the traditional scoreboard. These are the new LED lights, so these are up. By the way, so this is a picture of the gym, and then they just did enhancements on top to show the new lighting that we'll have in phase 2 as well. New railing, new lighting underneath here. These lights already exist. The ventilation here already exists. That's new ventilation we just added. We painted the entire room. These tiles along the wall are existing tiles that will still be there. And of course, the only big difference here is just that this picture has water in the pool, but it's almost there. Actually, we're looking to open the pool possibly right after the holidays. It was supposed to be before the holidays, but we ran into some more issues. And then in phase 2, we'll probably keep it in operation, the pool, because we won't, this work for the balcony and the other stuff, I think they could do it after hours. But in the locker rooms, we'll have improvements, and there will be a lot of other improvements. So we're really looking forward to it. This is going to be a great addition to the community. We'll have you know, free swimming lessons for the community. The kids will be able to enjoy the pool. It's going to be a fantastic thing for us.
Certified as lifeguards.
Certified as lifeguards as well.
Well,
Current edition of Soup
So you can
Scoop
learn how to
actually-
swim.
well, the students, like 2019, will they be required to take swimming?
We've been talking about that. We're looking into the developing the curriculum associated with that. Yes. And I understand that years ago that was part of the.
Yes, it was.
You had
It
to
was.
swim. You had
At
to
least
take-
drown-proof.
Yeah.
At
Drown-proof.
least drop proof.
The current edition of Soup Scoop is actually taped in the pool so that people can see the process and what it looks like now. So if you haven't seen the current edition of Soup Scoop, tune in.
All right, awesome. All right, that's fantastic. So this concludes, yes, finally, did I say that already? Did we vote on that already?
No.
No? All right, so this concludes the meeting of December 6, 2016. Good night, everyone. Thank you so much.
Motion.
Motion to close. Motion second. Thank you, Trustee Miller and Trustee Jaros. Good night. Thank you for coming.
Good night. Rick, don't forget me. Rick.